All right, so I'm back over in my favorite IDE to work with in Python. I wanted to make sure and get everything working because I have a step coming up really soon when we start actually putting together the object to write our game in more detail. I want to make sure I have variable monitors and the debugging tools on hand because I expect that to be trouble, or I expect that to give a bit of trouble. And I was having a slight problem, which I need to, at first, it didn't want to refer to my old regular Python environment that I've been working in. If we import the system, then run sys.executable, it'll show which path it is. I've got it straightened out. The problem was all the stuff for Spider was in its own environment. If you have that problem, if it won't recognize your own environment, what you have to do is come over and do pip install, just your regular install for spider-kernels. And when you install that, it puts all the stuff the IDE needs to work in the regular environment. And then you come to Tools and Preferences. And under the Python Interpreter tab, you can set which environment to work with. Make sure it goes right to the Python executable file. But once you get it there, then it should work in your regular environment, and you can just run this line to make sure it's pointing at the right place. So I did get that set up, ready for the next step, where the debugging tools and variable monitor will be very, very useful. So now to the objects. So let's see, I'll go over to File Explorer and open our game here. Under Documents, that'll work. I'm just going to go there. Oh, it's already expanded. Under My Pygame, we have this test3py, which was testing our logic. So there's everything's encapsulated nicely, ready to work with. So the only object I actually want to add is this. So I want a control object that handles this, and then we could kind of choose what keys go into it, or a joystick or something, but have a regular control object instead of scripting that up every time, something reusable. So that's the only object I want to actually add. And then I think I'm going to expand this, create an object. What would normally be a script added on, once my plan for this interface comes together, would be under the add script feature, that once the logic works, we can consolidate this actor and this movement and this choosing the animation all into one object. So since there's only one actual object I want to add here at this point, I'll go ahead and go over that just as the general steps of something we want to do in a 3D game. So let's get started doing that. I have the image here, the UML. Again, I like to put these together while thinking about it, and I end up with huge sheets from brainstorming. But here's the consolidated, everything that we've done. So we have an actor, and then the control object is the main one I want to add for working with. There's not something, I'm not happy with the built-in version on that. So I'm going to make one that's feels more intuitive to me. And then the Boolean and some speeds and a move and animated thing, which this would typically be a custom script added particular to the game, but I want to go over those steps now since we're about ready for those anyway. So I guess to start with, the actual object I want to add, that's going to be added to the game objects. So we have these game objects here, and then we have this script for generating the classes. So I'll add another one in here. Which doesn't need to do too much at this point. Start class, module equals what's going to add to the game objects module. name will be, I'll call it control 3D. It's not going to be a parent. And the attributes, whoops, that's not how to spell that, attributes, at this point are just our simple controls, the ones we've used, left, down, right, and up. So that'll give us a start on that. So I'll hit Control S to save it and run that script. So now over in game objects, where I've added a bunch of Doxygen documentation to keep track of all these main components. As well for other people and as well as for myself, because if it's 6 or 8 months before I get back to messing with games, there's a good chance I'm going to forget some of what I did. So I'll get that in here. And here's our new object. Oh, and when the interface pieces start coming together, this is what's going to be generated when we say add script. We'll click add script or type add script command, call it from an interface somewhere, either graphical or console. And then a dialog box will pop up to ask what attributes we want and any parent objects, a name for it, and generate all this to quickly add a script. So I guess to start with, we could add some defaults in here. And, well, the most logical defaults seem the WASD keys, which are already typed up over here. So I'll just copy one of these, Control copy, over here, left equals that, then go ahead and hit enter to put it in the readable form, down equals that, hit enter, right equals that, hit enter, and up equals that. So let's see, left will be the A key, down will be the S key, right will be the D key, and up will be the W key. So that gets us our defaults in there. So at this point we can come over and comment these out. And then bring in a controller object and give it a test and make sure it works. Replace this with equals self.control equals control 3D, and I'm just going to go with those default values I passed in. But we do need a way to check it. So this stuff, which is the one method I had planned there. Over on this screen, so the controller 3D has attributes for our buttons that default to WASD, and then this check key method, which needs to take in a base watcher node, and then is going to return a dictionary. And I thought that might be the easiest way to work with it, because then we have, but when we ask for it, it's what we typically call an associative array in other languages, but makes it a lot easier to work with. So to put that together, yeah, it's basically this stuff. So we're going to grab the key press and run through an if statement. So I'm going to copy this, come over to the game objects, and I'll add a method in here for define check key, which is going to need to take in a watcher because that is something specific to the game. We don't really know ahead of time what that watcher is going to be. Add some white space so I'm not at the bottom there, and I'll just paste this in. So we're passing in the watcher, which will be this. So if the button's down, and here there might be some inheritance going on later, So our key press that we need to check for is this getter that was just generated. That way any child objects of this will have the same thing. Self.getLeft. Key press self.getRight. Key press, I'm going to go in a different order. Self.getDown. Self.getRight. And self.getUp. Oh, forgot some parentheses here. And then it's going to do something slightly different here. So I'm going to take out these because that was particular to that method and do something more generalized. Return a dictionary. So up there at the top, I'll call it controls, and that'll be a dictionary. Make it easy to work with on the other side. And a lot of Panda 3D was written in dictionary, so this will kind of fit with the other stuff. Whoops. We'll have a value called left, which initially has a 0. A value called right. I want to go in the same order, that way I don't confuse myself later. I just started left and went counterclockwise. Down that has a 0. And right is going to start at 0. And an up, which again will start at 0. And then each one of these, we will reassign that. So controls left will be assigned 1 if that button's pressed. So some copy and pasting. Paste, control paste, control paste. And so left, this is down, this one's under right, this one's under up, and then after doing that, we will return controls. So, it looks like we're coming on 12 minutes, so we'll check this in the next video, and to keep the whole documentation thing from getting away from me, I'm going to go ahead and put in the doxy comments before that video, but there's no need to watch me make comments. Hopefully that logic makes sense. No, I'm going to want control every time, so I just set something up with the keyboard, type of keyboard presses I like to use, which will involve a watcher, so we can't set a default value for that. That has to come at runtime from the operating system. So we can't put a default value on a watcher. But then just set up a dictionary, initially all zeros, and at every frame of the game we'll check and see which keys are pressed. Ifs, not elifs, so that way it checks every single one and we can have more than one key registered at a time. And then return that dictionary and work with that. So we will implement that into our game in the next video, replace all this with that. 13 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and render this video down and see you in the next video where we give this object a test. Oh, what's this error about? Oh, I forgot something important there. There we go. Now all the errors cleared out. So see you in the next video.